Fellow type 1s out there, welcome to today's video. This is, I don't know, maybe 150th, I say, since COVID began. Thank you for watching, or maybe you're just finding me. If so, welcome. My name is Dr. Jody. I help patients with type 1 diabetes all over the world get off that crazy blood sugar roller coaster and figure out how to get the best blood sugar levels of your life. I'm very passionate about teaching this because I feel personally, being a type 1 myself since 1980, have been in your shoes where I feel like I just wasn't getting the education that I needed to really be able to understand how to get an A1C below 6.5, which is my goal for you and everybody I work with. So I have dedicated my career to helping you, making these videos. I have online courses and all that. Today, I want to talk about why holiday meals, carb counting will not work, okay? So if you're like most type 1s, carb counting is what you're taught to figure out how your dose. You know, maybe your ratio is 1 to 10, 1 to 15. If you're really super sensitive, you only need 1 for 20. If you're really insulin resistant, you might need 1 unit for 5 grams of carb. And then you just add up your carbs and do your dose, and you're supposed to like have it magically work. It won't work. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. I will give you that. But dosing is so much more complicated. I've made a whole course on this, why carb counting doesn't work, how to dose properly. And one of the reasons is that with holiday meals, they're big. There's a lot of protein and there's a lot of fat. So guess what? Protein can slowly raise blood sugar over like a 5-hour period of time, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, depending on your digestion, your age, how much protein you eat, all that, so much more. And fat can create temporary insulin resistance for hours. Now, I'm not talking about a little bit of butter on your broccoli. I'm talking about lots of butter or cream or olive oil or avocado or salad dressing. Lots of fat can create temporary insulin resistance because when the fat digests into little teeny microscopic fatty acids, they go into the bloodstream. And now they're circulating in the bloodstream for hours before they leave your bloodstream and either become fuel or become a new part of a cell wall or whatever their purpose in your body is. So carb counting doesn't work very well. It certainly doesn't work for these super complex meals. So you kind of need to figure out, well, there's no exact science. That's the other thing. It's like we're not robots, right? Diabetes cannot be controlled like 1 + 1 = 2. It's navigated. I always say we have to navigate our diabetes. You give your best conservative guess of your meal. You're like, okay, well, I have a little protein. That's going to raise my blood sugar a little bit more. And then the reality with high protein and high fat meals is you're going to need more than just one shot. You can't just think you're going to give all your insulin up front and it's going to match you perfectly. Because if you have a meal that digests like this for hours, slowly raising your blood sugar for hours, you need insulin that kind of matches that, right? So if you're on a pump, you might use an extended bolus. If you're on shots, you might do little bits of insulin over time, right? That's what I do. I do shots. I use a pen, and I don't like pen needles because I feel like they drip, so I use a syringe, and I pull out my insulin, and then I have half unit markings on these guys, so I can do a half unit, you know. And if I do a high-fat meal, I might do a half unit every hour for 4 hours after I eat the meal. Depends on what time of day, depends on how big of the meal I ate, and I do love my Dex. I'm doing pretty good right now. I did just eat lunch, so 119. I like to stay between 70 and 120. For you in millimole, that's just divide that by 18. So if I'm lazy, I'll divide it by 20, which means that's like a 6. So I hope this helps. So if you're frustrated that your carb counting doesn't work, this is probably why, because you haven't been taught how to dose for protein and fat. It's not a precise science. It's something that you kind of need some basic foundational teachings on, which I have in my course on my website, why carb counting doesn't work. But then you also just kind of need to nuance it. You have to navigate diabetes. You have to use critical thinking. Maybe you go on a walk after your meal. That can always help reduce post-meal highs. Maybe you need another little half unit or another little unit. You have to start getting to know how your body reacts to protein and fat get a logbook and start tracking trends. Well, gosh, when I eat a whole bunch of protein, it seems like I'm high for 5 hours after I eat. Well, then you're going to need a little bit of insulin throughout those 5 hours, right? Now, I can't get into specific details on my little, on these little videos, but I just wanted to introduce the concept to you if you haven't already. Start realizing that protein and fat can affect your blood sugar, and start just, even if you don't change your dosing yet, just start tracking trends. Wow, every time I eat this big protein fat meal, I seem like I go high for this many hours. Well, speaking of, I just went up. So anyways, hope that helps. Let me know what you think. Comment below. I'll be back on Wednesday. I always come live around 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern. I'm not sure what that time is for you guys in Europe and Australia and everywhere else around the world. But this is where I'm at. I'm coming to you from Hawaii. COVID kind of changed my life, and now I'm living in Hawaii, so I feel lucky. But I love helping you. I love helping you learn new ideas for how to get better blood sugar control. If you want some more resources, you can check out my website. To find me, all you have to do is Google Dr. Jody Diabetes. You'll see my YouTube, my website. Obviously, you're already on my Facebook. So thanks for watching. I'll be back on Wednesday at the same time, 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern. Have a great day. Bye for now.